So before I said that I was going to make it part 2, and so I am. History of the Extra Deck Part 2. This is more of an argument video more than a history video. I pretty much went over the entire history in the last video. This part is more of a question, which I think is one of those questions that people have asked for a very long time. Why weren't these put in the Extra Deck? All I gotta say. Why weren't rituals included in the Extra Deck whenever it was first announced? Um, to sum it up, the last video pretty much explained that the Extra Deck was a place to put bigger, more powerful monsters that you didn't want players to normally summon without having to fulfill a condition. Fusion, for instance. Meteor Black Dragon, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Dark Paladin, all those other great things. These were all staples at the time in the Extra Deck as like big bad monsters that you could make, provided that, you had the right pieces and all that stuff. We didn't get this card till recently, but still, these two were like icons in Japan, because I think Meteor Black Dragon was actually released forever ago. It was even a Bandai card at the time, but either way, we're not going over a history lesson of that. Question that I have is, why would you not put these complicated cards in the Extra Deck? It's like, the argument that I've always had is that rituals are so complicated that there's no way they're ever going to be meta. The closest one we've ever gotten is, what's her name? Herald of Perfection. She's awesome in her own right, but and Demise. 2 cards. 2 rituals, like ever. Gishkis, they don't really count because they keep getting limited. But, I mean, that doesn't mean they're bad. I'm just saying that they're poorly designed, but we'll get to Gishkis in a little while. The point here is that when fusions were out, that's where they went. They went in the fusion deck. There was no Extra Deck. It was called the fusion deck, which is probably the only reason why they didn't rebrand it, name it the Extra Deck, and throw rituals in there. I don't know why. I mean, aside from the fact that it was already named the fusion deck. I mean, you had 2 of Yugi's most iconic monsters inserted in this deck. And if you notice, like, the difference, both these monsters have the exact same summoning condition. Their specific ritual spell card and the level 8 or higher tribute from the hand or field. But notice that in the later versions, they really condensed that text to, you can ritual summon this card with Black Magic Ritual. Woot. They basically said, hey, if they're reading the one card, then they should be able to read the other card. There's no reason that they shouldn't. But, I mean, you look at the original for Blackluster Soldier, and it says this card can only be ritual summoned with a ritual spell card, Blackluster Ritual. Then you must offer monsters whose total levels equal 8 or more as tribute from the field or your hand. That's complicated. You're basically rehashing the exact same effect, as the spell card. But the point here was so that there would be no ifs, ands, or buts. The question that I have, though, is like, tell me if this argument isn't legitimate. If they had made every single ritual monster have to be in the hand, it's understandable if every ritual spell card is like this. I don't know if you're familiar, but this is Contract with the Abyss. There's also Earth Chant, which is right here. Earth Chant, Contract with the Abyss. Both these cards have the same purpose. Ritual summon any dark monster, ritual summon any earth ritual monster. And they have the same generic effect as the rest. Tribute monsters whose total levels equal the tributed monster. If they would have made all the ritual spells like this, a light, a dark, an earth, a wind, a water, and fire, then I can understand these having to be in the hand. What I can't understand is that you have to play Blackluster Ritual and this card to summon him, or you have to play Black Magic Ritual and this card from your hand. You can't, like, just have one. It's not summoned from the deck, and that's always deterred people from playing rituals, especially generic ones, like that have no effect or no positive effect in the game. Competitive, yes, Relinquished was. And that's because he had some crazy effect that helped him so much. And this is the later version of him, mind you, where the text isn't so small that you can't read it. Point here is you look at Blackluster Soldier, you look at Magician of Black Chaos, and you look at Relinquished. All these cards were out in Japan at the same time. If they would have just said put blue cards in the fusion deck, and you could summon them from the fusion deck, I can understand them having specific rituals. The argument I have for this really has to come down to the duel with Yugi and Pegasus, in which Pegasus was able to use his Millennium Eye. I'm sorry I'm quoting the anime, I realize it's not the real game, but point is, Pegasus could use his Millennium Eye and see every single card Yugi was drawing. At the time that Yugi summoned the Magician of Black Chaos, he wasn't able to do the little mind shuffle trick with Yugi. Like he wasn't able to switch minds and protect his hand. But I get it that little Yugi was the one who set the spell card, but Pegasus still should have been able to see the Magician of Black Chaos in Yugi's hand, which was never seen in any time in the cuts of the film whenever they're showing it. So Yugi didn't top deck Magician of Black Chaos. He flipped over a spell card and smiled. So this is where the question is the Magician of Black Chaos, where was it summoned from? Obviously from the invisible it doesn't exist zone. Because in my opinion, if you could draw Black Magic Ritual and you had 8 stars worth of tribute, you should be able to summon the monster from the extra deck. Same case for Blackluster Soldier. I don't think Yugi had the Blackluster Soldier in his hand when he played it against Mai. And I sure as heck don't think that Pegasus played Relinquished from his hand either. All these cards are too situational, even for the anime, where they're saying rituals are so powerful, but they're not. They're just like inconsistent. And even at the time where you had Senju, A Thousand Hands, and Sonic Bird that could search for the card, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make up for the fact that you had to have this and this to make this, and you had to have another monster. Like why do you make it where we need both? And if you're gonna make it where you need the spell card, then throw these suckers in the extra deck. If you're not gonna make it where they need the spell card and they can use this, not that, that's advanced ritual art, and they can use this to summon this, then why not? Like that's my opinion. If you're gonna make them be obligatory from the hand, then make all the ritual spells like this or like this, where they summon any earth monster or summon any dark monster. That's a ritual card. Those make more sense. And eventually, Konami tried to get the memo right, and they threw in new summoning tactics. Advanced Ritual Art was phenomenal. It says, hey, select any ritual monster in your hand and send monsters from the deck to the graveyard whose levels are equal to that ritual monster's level. Then you can ritual summon it. It gave you a way to summon the monster. And granted, this eliminated one of the issues that you needed, because if you have this and this in hand, it doesn't mean you can summon it if you have an empty board. This card meant if you had this and this in hand, then you can summon it as long as you have a level 1 vanilla in your deck. That's pretty awesome. It gave you a better way or faster access to the ritual monsters, and that's why Advanced Ritual Art is semi-limited right now, because they realized at 3 it can do something. But then, Konami tried to improve the formula one last time, and they made these. And I'm not going to diss Gishkis, or yeah, Gishki? Yes, Gishki. I'm not sure if it's Gishki or Gishiki half the time, but I mean, one, they made all the rituals generic for their own, spell cards, and they gave them 3 separate spell cards that you could all play at 3, and the spell cards could constantly return themselves to the hand, which meant that they were able to perform loops and constant combos and annoying things that resulted in 2 of their cards getting limited, so now all their loops disappear. But the point is they also gave the deck everything it needed to ritual summon. And I'm not against making a deck that can ritual summon, but make cards like this have similar effects to this, and we'll have something that's working. Or this have that returning effect similar to Gishki Aquamirror. These cards need something like that. Stuff like Contract with the Abyss and Earth Chant, or a water version. I still stand by that. So, what's your opinion? Do you think that these should be just tossed in the extra deck and make all their ritual spell cards the only thing you really need to draw plus the tributes? Or should they stay how they are? I mean, if Konami could do it again, do you think they would? Do you think they'd change how they made their system? Do you think these cards deserve their own slot in the extra deck? And if they did make that a rule or change the rules for it, how could they go about making that a normal thing? Anyway, leave your answers down in the comments if you have any, and as always, have a good day.